Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Red Hat webinar today. Jeff, just a quick mic and video check. Can you hear and see me or see my
Yep, we
screen?
look all good, John.
You can see my screen as well?
Yep.
Sounds good. So, again, good morning. Welcome to the latest webinar that I have prepared for you today. Today, we're going to talk about Red Hat Insights. But before we get started, let's go over the stuff that we do every time. My name is Jonathan Beach. I am your dedicated solution architect covering the DoT and the FAA. So now that we're on Blue Jeans Live, I wanted to let you know that we mute everyone's microphone and camera. So therefore, we can't hear or see you. That said, we encourage questions. So on the bottom, I believe it's the right-hand side of your screen, you'll see a chat. You guys can chat with us, talk about how good I'm doing, give me praise, or tell Jeff what a good job he's doing, or, just tell us how, what we need to improve. I think next to that, underneath that, there's a Q&A button. So this is where I would like you to enter all your questions. During the presentation today, Jeff will be monitoring that Q&A. I will also take pauses throughout, as long as Jeff reminds me to take a pause, to answer any questions. And if we can't answer them or for whatever reason, we will, follow up with you in an email to answer that question at a later time. And then at the end of the presentation today, I'll go through, make sure every question, we have logged, either answer it or get back to you. During the presentation, Jeff will be dropping his email address into the chat. Therefore, everybody has a contact information. I'm pretty sure everybody can see my screen now. My email address is listed. Jeff will also drop that in the chat as well if you need to reach out to me with any questions. At the end of the presentation, we do post the slides as well as the recording of this presentation on our DLT portal. Hopefully by now everyone has a login for that DLT portal. If not, again, reach out to Jeff and I. We'll help you get that set up. So with that, let's get started. Jeff, just want to confirm one more time. You can see my slide that I went up one. I know sometimes that hangs and gets stuck on your
Yep,
side.
we look all good here, John.
All right, good. So the reason you're here, you either know a lot about Insights and you want to learn more, or you really don't know anything about Insights. So Red Hat Insights assesses your Red Hat, your RHEL environment to help proactively identify and remediate threats, avoiding outages, unplanned downtime, and any risk to security and compliance that your environment might have. And I wanted to put this next slide in like every other slide. And I'm sorry, it's the next slide after this. So I love numbers. I come from a science background, not an IT background. So I love seeing statistics. I think this is a pretty powerful slide showing the amount of time saved, money saved. The thing that sticks out to me as a former system admin was, the almost 90 seconds to discover vulnerabilities in a 100 VM environment versus the 15 minutes it would to do it if you were to do it manually. So, and again, that's a major time saving, even if your environment's more than 100. So, again, this slide is pretty simple, but it's free, free, like the Geico commercial, right? Everyone, most everyone in the FAA is part of the ELA program we have between the FAA and Red Hat. So you guys already are getting Red Hat Enterprise Linux, the premium edition. Red Hat Insights is included. There's no additional cost. It's in that subscription already. And if you guys are using the ELA, you guys already have the smart management is also included in that Red Hat subscription. So again, free. All right. So Red Hat Insights finds and lets you prioritize meaningful insights from your Red Hat environment, allowing you to proactively take action across your business operations and security, as we will discuss. So this is a lot of stuff, a lot of stuff going on. And let me say, I do have a lot of slides here. I will go through them quickly. Um, I was just telling Jeff, I always feel like I need a lot of slides to talk, but and during this conversation, I will go back and forth to my environment to show you real world examples that I have set up. So it's not all slides, it's not all boring. You're not going to fall asleep. Well, hopefully not too soon. So anyway, back to this. So we kind of broke this up into the three sections, right? So we have our business section, which will track your Red Hat subscriptions, um, our operations, which is our advisor, our drift, as well as some new features coming out soon, like the image builder. And lastly, the last section is the vulnerability. And I think these are probably extremely important in our day and age with all the vulnerabilities going on. So again, vulnerabilities, compliance, policies, and patch, just to make sure everything's up to date and in compliance in your environment. So right now, the left column there is insights for RHEL. So the business of subscriptions. So it just shows us which products are included in RHEL. And as you can see in the middle is our OpenShift. And it includes Advisor as well as security. You know, that's coming soon, as well as Ansible automation platform to the right. Again, some different things are included in that insights portion for Ansible. So how does Insights help you? How does Insights help the FAA or the FAA program? So for one, it helps manage your inventory, right? It gives you a single pane of glass to show you your entire inventory as long as everything's registered. Well, how do you register? I'll show you. And like I said earlier, it gives us insight to any of the risks that might be currently embedded in your environment. It might be all of your RHEL instances, or it might just be one or two that you may have forgotten about, or it's new for whatever reason, right? So they could be compliance issues, CVEs, maybe boxes that were offline during a patching event. You need to go back and patch. And the best thing is, depending on how you have it set up, you can remediate all within either satellite or cloud.redhat.com. It's pretty cool, and I'll demo some of those features as well. So again, I love numbers. 85, so we really like to push this, right? So 85 of the critical issues that you might see or call into Red Hat support, we already know about, right? And that's a lot. That's, like it says here, over 1 million solved cases with over 100,000 unique solutions to this, right? So Red Hat's taking this knowledge. Nobody else does this. Red Hat's taking this knowledge, punching it into this software as a service, and providing you this proactively, right? So you don't have to run into an issue, call it in, and then work with support to get fixed. This will all do it for you. So it's really great. Again, more numbers. I'm sorry. So again, this is more geared towards the private industry, but still, it's still relevant, right? So 40% of enterprises say hourly downtime costs almost $100 million or more. And 98% of those people, $100,000 per hour. That's a lot of money, right? And in our case with the FAA, that could mean grounding planes, which costs the industry a lot more money, and it makes a lot of passengers really angry if they miss their connecting flight or miss their flight to get home. So 3 ways we could set this up. And even before I get this started, let me say, I know that the FAA is behind a firewall. Most NAS systems are behind that firewall. Red Hat is aware of this. We have a lot of public sector customers that would like this service and are behind a firewall. That being said, there are projects that have access to the internet that could set up their system like this. The first one, the easiest one to do this, right? So you have your device, your RHEL system, it's connected to the internet, you register it, quick and simple, right? There's no proxies, there's nothing to go through. And you can register, if it's on premise, on a piece of hardware or within the cloud. The second one is using smart management, right? So here, if you're using Red Hat or RHEL 8.4, it is in tech preview, but using the Red Hat connector versus straight right into the cloud or back to Red Hat itself. And the third case is, okay, so some of our NAS systems are behind a firewall. However, some of those systems do have satellite set up where, we can talk through the firewall. However, the satellite system's outside the firewall. So in this case, most of your instances are connected to satellite, and therefore that data is sent back and forth through the satellite as a proxy. So it keeps your entire infrastructure outside of the firewall, with the exception of satellite, and satellite does everything on the other side of that firewall. And here's a collection of everything going on at once, right? So we have satellite talking to your on-premise stuff, as well as the cloud connector talking to your cloud stuff. Again, it's a different hybrid cloud environment. Some of our FAA customers have this type of environment. So again, it's pretty easy to set up. Again, we can do almost anything to set this up. Like I said, here's our three cases, with the exception of my last one that showed a hodgepodge collection of everything put together. So how easy is it to configure Red Hat Insights, right? So the first thing you do, you register your system. That's simple. The next thing you do is you go to cloud.redhat.com, or you go to your satellite server and you see what it found, right? Then the last thing you do, you remediate those issues. And all these things are really simple to do. So from a perspective of a RHEL instance, in my example, I would show you both a RHEL 7 instance as well as a RHEL 8 instance. And all you do is do a yum install Insights client, and installs the client for you. You're going to register your device to whatever you're talking to, whether it's satellite or if it's just cloud.redhat.com, and then you go and view the data. Like I said, three simple, easy steps. The install and the register probably takes 30 seconds. Then after that, you're off to the races. So another concern we have is, what data is the device sending to Red Hat? And like I said, we have a lot of public sector companies that are concerned, the FAA is concerned on, what data is getting sent. So there is a lot of data. There's tons of documentation on exactly what is sent, but you control that data, right? You can control what is sent to Red Hat for Red Hat to look at. We remove all PII information. Log files are not collected. Let's see what else. Touch here, and I think I have a slide on this next. All the data is encrypted from the time it's collected all the way through transmission. So again, not only are you controlling the data, Red Hat itself is securing that data, whatever you decide to send us. So you don't have to worry about somebody in the middle grabbing that data. How long does Red Hat store this data? Typically 24 hours, and that the most amount is normally about 2 weeks, and there is no permanent data storage of this data that is sent. So, like I said, you might not want certain things to be sent to Red Hat. So in this example, it's your Insights client configuration file, right? So right here, we just changed two files or two entries in this file. One, we're going to obstruct the IP address. What if you don't want your IP addresses going back to Red Hat? Simple. We'll just change that to true. It won't send it. In my example here, I will show you what that looks like, as well as we can remove hosting. think I said it earlier. So during that data collection, no sensitive data is targeted for collection. Here's some of the example files that it does grab, as well as some of the commands it runs to produce the metadata that it needs to fully run through. Like I said previously, that the config file, you can also, in addition to hiding your IP address and your host name, you can change the logs, configure your satellite server, change the display name, eliminate timeouts, configure proxy settings. It's all pretty simple. The file's not long at all. So if you run insights.client, so typically, I think I have a slide on this next. Typically runs by default every 24 hours. However, you can run this anytime you want. Let's say you make a change and again, I'll show you this. You can make a change and then you want to run it again, send the data back to cloud.redhat.com, and this way you can review, make sure that change took place. However, there are many different command line options within there. And again, I will show you one of these options, which is no upload. And again, I'll get there in a second. Here's just a list of the data that's required, as well as, again, the commands used to collect some of the data. So again, like I said, we can remove IP address and host name. However, what if we want to remove some other data in there, right? There are, as with most Red Hat products, a very detailed instruction manual to how to set up what is removed from that data. And I'll go through some of them as well. So after that data is collected, after you set what you want to set, you remove what you want to remove, that data is then collected, tarred up, and sent to Red Hat. Upload is very small. As you can see here, the average size is in the kilobytes. The maximum ever seen is 238 megabytes. Again, mine was just a few kilobytes as well. And like I said, you can run this command, untar, and see what exactly is being sent. This will help you hone in on what you want to remove and what you want to keep going back to Red Hat. Again, just exactly what I just said. And again, I will run this for you shortly. I think I want to get there now. So let's show you, right? Let's do some real world examples. Tired of hearing me talk. Let's log into my VM. So this is my L8 VM I have running in AWS. So let's first show you what the configuration file looks like. I hope everybody could see it. I hope it's big enough. I tried to zoom in as much as I could. Take a look here. And like I said, it just shows everything I showed in the slide, right? However, in this case, I wanted to show you that I enabled the removal of my IP address, and I enabled the removal of my host name. This file also, you can set the location of your remove file. This is the file you create to remove any data that you do not want to get sent back from the default. And I'll show you what that looks like. So in here, there are two ways to do it. The older versions of RHEL 7 and RHEL 8, and I believe in RHEL 6, you use the remove.conf file. Let me show you what that looks like. Here's just an example. So in this example, it's going to remove etc cluster, cluster.conf, and etc host from the tar file that's getting sent back to Red Hat. It's also not going to run dmessage and hostname. It's also going to not include anything with password or username or keywords, super secret and ultra secret. So therefore, when the script runs, it's going to remove all that data from. It's actually not even going to collect it. However, in newer versions or the latest versions of RHEL 8 and 7, and I believe 6, use YAML files, right? Why not? YAML's easy to use. So let me show you what that looks like. So this is just for files to remove, as well as commands. So again, it's not going to run these commands. It's not going to send these files. Like I said, I want to show you what it actually looks like, right? So I'm going to run this command. Like I said, anybody can run it at any time. However, I'm not going to upload it. Keep it local. Jeff, while this runs, is there any questions so far?
Nope, John, we look to be pretty good.
All
Thank you
right,
for
great.
asking me.
Yep. So this is actually showing you that it is skipping various files that I had set, as well as various commands I had set in my exclude file. So here you will see that it stored my my gzip tar file in var temp. And here you will see the tar file of all the files, all the directories that have various files within there. Just one example, I'll show you the list of the commands that ran. Here's all the commands that were run to collect data that was needed to send data back to Red Hat to perform the analysis. Like I said, you can go in here. If you don't want something run, we can add it to that remove file. The next time it runs, it won't run that command. And one other example, like I said, I removed host name and IP address. So my window I'm showing you now is my satellite server, which both of my VMs are connected to. I can go in here, look at overview, and here, host1.example.com. You will see that for every device that you remove your host name from. And here's one that I didn't remove it from. So this host name is actually beach.server-8.0. So this is within satellite. So cloud.redhat.com. Let me show you this. I will show you my inventory. So before you think I have all these devices, I don't. So what you're seeing here is a list of servers all within Red Hat employees. So, like I said, this name is changeable. This is not necessarily your host name. That is removed. So here's your Ansible host name that is removed, as well as your host name. So what you see here is my display name, which I can change to anything. So I can change this. So if you send all the data as host one, and you need to know, well, what are all these host ones? I need to know what they are. So you can go in here and change your display name. And I believe you can change your display name in the config file. So when it does get sent back to Red Hat, it displays that display name versus your actual host name. So anyway, so here's the two examples of it removing your host name. And I also want to show you my IP address. These are dummy IP addresses, right? You'll always see a 10.230.230 dot something when it sends that data back. And I'll show you an example of what actual host names. Click back. I'll show you my 7.8 server. Should show you difference, so all three of these are the same. And then for IP addresses, you'll see my actual IP address. All right. So back to slides. Oh, more slides. So I kind of went over this a little bit earlier. What are the key use cases for Red Hat Insights? One of the big insights is that it helps our TAM, right? Our Kevin Myers, that helps us out, right? It gives them a deeper look into your environment. He can recommend various things just by looking at that insights data as well. Most importantly, we keep an open eye on vulnerabilities, patching, drift, all of that stuff. So it gives us that single pane glass into everything. I think I hit on some of these things. We're helps us, look at configuration management, various risk, CVs, any open or SCAP policies, or any of the internal policies. Again, I'll show you some of these examples as we go on. It helps you identify and remediate. Again, same thing, CVs, compliance, vulnerabilities, patching. We want to continuous insight and create remediation plans. So let's get down into it, right? So the first section I showed you three business operations and top of my head. So the advisor, right? The advisor is going to show us, issues in availability, performance, and stability of your Red Hat environment, and that's based off of what I said earlier. 20 years, all those cases, all those known workarounds or issues to resolve those problems. Nobody else does that, right? And nobody else can, because nobody else has the experience that Red Hat has. So here's an advisor view, right? So versus me showing you this slide, let me show you an actual advisor view. The first page I'm going to go to is my satellite server. So like I said, you can do this from either satellite or cloud.redhat.com. I like to do it from satellite. And as a little note, I am using satellite 6.8, which there are additional features coming that are in 6.9 as well as coming in 6.10. So some of it's still a little buggy in 6.8. However, I didn't get a chance to really work on this or update my satellite server. So like I said, so here's my 7.8 server, right? I have RHEL 7.8. And here it shows me all the advisory things that it found in that. So it's telling me, a kernel bug information will not be captured because of my AWS environment. It tells me, that there's a playbook that is available for me to fix it. So I don't even have to go in and hand do it, right? I could just create a playbook and run the playbook from my satellite server. And I'll show you an example of that coming up. Various, I need to update my cloud init. Time server is not set because of AWS. Or there's this one that it was complaining about. And it looks pretty high, right? So it's a critical, likelihood's critical, and the risk is critical, right? So I kind of want to fix this. So the way to do this is but there is not a Ansible playbook. So I have to do this manually. So I kind of picked this one just so I could show you what it looks like to do it manually. So it gives me the what the problem is, and the steps to resolve it, right? So to make it simple, I'm just going to remove all the SSL and TLS versions from etc postfix main.config on my rel 7.8 box. Here, here. The postfix. Yes. I am just going to add these things at the end of the file. Save the file. Oh, that seems pretty simple, right? Oh, I need to restart postfix, right? It even tells me how to restart it. Okay, that's great. So I completed the fix. So now I want to see if if Insights actually picks up on it now. So if I close out of that, so if I rerun Insights client, it'll go ahead and do its thing, right? It'll go ahead and collect all the data that is currently configured to collect. It'll then send that data to Red Hat. Red Hat will crunch it and then spit out a result. This does take a few seconds to run through. Jeff, how am I doing on questions?
Yeah, John, we did have a question earlier from Daniel in relation to one of your slides, but I think it was in regards to advancing a slide. So outside of that, we're good.
Okay,
And Daniel, we will be following up with you. I saw your note come in via email too.
cool. Thanks, Jeff. All right, so if I refresh this, hopefully these numbers should change. Yes, they did. My critical went away. Perfect. So we can even dig a little deeper. So it should not be here anymore. Down the bottom, nope, it's gone. Pretty cool. So that was an example um, of me doing something by hand. Let me show you how cool it is on uh, using a playbook from Satellite. Hopefully this works. I haven't tested it today, um, but in the past it did work. Um, so I click on the actions, right? These are the list of things it found for both environments, right? My 7.8 and my 8.0. Click on security. So it found this rule that misconfigured applications running on EC2 where I enable have access to internal metadata, right? I don't want that. So here's my rel 8 box. So I'm going to select here. I'm going to remove it from or remediate this issue on my rel 8 box. I click over here under actions. I'm going to create a new playbook. And I'm going to call this FAA demo. And I'm going to save it, right? So it's going to create a playbook to run on that host. Just trying to think, will that work now that I have a different host name? But we'll find out. And click save. Cool. So now I have this plan to run an action to resolve this issue on this host. But I'm not done. I'll look at a different one here. So, nope, wrong one. Actions. Click Building, click this kernel debug. Right, so it found this issue um, that I just got to disable kdump. Right, so I want to run this, that guy. Had a problem with earlier. Again, it's one of those bugs. I have to click it twice. I have no idea. So anyway, I'm going to add this to my existing my existing plan. Sorry. Of it's going to create that playbook and run it on that host. Click save. Cool. So now I have two actions that I want to run as part of my plan, and I have them set to run on uh, host one, which in this case is my rel 8 box. So I come down here, click run playbook. Thought that was going to be an issue, mainly because of the hosting. Interesting. However, so if the issue persists or whatever, I can download the playbook and run it locally on that box. So let's pivot a little bit. Like I said, I wasn't sure if this was going to work. It is buggy, but let's try this again. Let me see if I can run it on my rel 7 box. Yeah, it is not happy now. The joy of doing live demos, Jeff.
I think we're cruising, John.
But this makes it real, right? It just shows them. So I'm going to run this guy, create a new plan, demo 2. And for the record, I did test this 2 weeks ago, and it did work. Okay, so I have again, I'm going to run this playbook only on my rel 7 box. See if this works. Oh, that one's actually kicking off. I was having the hardest time um, removing old VMs from satellite. So that might have been what that was related to. And the neat thing about running this playbook, if it completes successfully, is I don't have to go back into the device and rerun Insights, the Insights client command. It'll go ahead and do that for me as part of the playbook. So once we see this complete, which is a good sign that it's actually running, because normally it would fail out if I had a bigger issue. And Jeff, while we're waiting, any new questions? I know I just asked like 2 minutes ago, but you never know.
Yep, no, I think we're all set, John.
Okay.
Questions here.
I think I'm good on time. I got 20 minutes. Interesting. Well, while that runs, I'll go ahead and move to the next slide. I'll come back to this. So like I said earlier, drift is a major concern. Say if you have an environment full of test VMs and you want those test VMs to all be in compliance, you want them all the same. And the easy way to do it, right? You can write a playbook on it, but Insights does it for you. Um, like I said, you can compare your system. You can set a baseline. You can filter it on, we'll just say, test devices or production environment devices or QA devices. It gives you a nice level playing field. Um, again, like I said, I was a system admin in my previous roles, and again, making sure you have the same configuration in test and production. So, like I said, I have a screen grab here. as my wife tries to crawl across the floor. Again, this is live. Um, so take a look, right? So I'm going to go into cloud.redhat.com. There are some functionalities you cannot do within Satellite. So within cloud.redhat.com, I'm going to look at drift, and I'm going to do a comparison. So you can either A, set a baseline. Well, before I continue, so you can see here my 7.8 device checked in 1 minute ago. So I'm pretty confident my playbook completed. However, we're going to continue on. So we're going to filter by name. I'm going to compare my two devices, a 7.8 and 8.0 system. But in your case, you might have 7 test devices that, again, you want all the same. Click submit. Boom. So here are my two devices. Now comparing against each other. Gives you tons of information. It tells me everything that matches as well as everything that doesn't match. In here, you can also add, instead of comparing two devices, you can set a baseline, right? You can copy a baseline from a device whenever you set up like a gold image. Okay, this is my baseline. I don't want anything ever to deviate from that. Then you have your 10 test devices. You can compare that gold image to. Pretty cool stuff. And you saw how fast that was. This shows me, again, it shows me up top all the things that did not match as well as the things that do match. So back to Satellite, we're going to back up a little bit. We're done with drift. We're going to back up to my playbook. It ran successfully. Very cool. So we'll go back to Insights. And we will go to Actions. We will go to Security. Right here, you can see only one system, right? This is the same thing that I just ran on my 7.0 or 7.8 system. It no longer shows up as an action item for that 7.8 system, only for my 8.0 system. So again, I just showed you how you can run manually, and then you can fix the problem manually, or sometimes when there's not a playbook, you have to fix it manually. Run Insights, removes that problem, that issue, or you can run a playbook straight from a Satellite. There are other ways to run playbooks within Ansible. These are new features that are just coming out. But again, there will be multiple ways to remediate an issue found within within Insights. So now we'll go back to my slides. The drift. Security, right? This is a big one. Try to get my screens all together here. So like I said, we want to assess vulnerabilities. We want to check the security configuration or security policies. And we want to create a plan from that and then run that plan. So the first thing within security is your vulnerability scan, right? So we're going to assess and monitor our rel, and we're going to remediate any known CVEs. And from that, we can even create reports that we could send to management. We can send to our security team to show them that, hey, listen, we ran a report. I mean, we remediated all these issues. Here's the report of our device in a nice, cool, and I'll show you an example of that PDF. So, and I believe I want to get there. But for this, I'm going to use cloud.redhat.com. I'm going to go into the security section here. I'm going to go into vulnerabilities and CVEs. So again, this is showing me within everything I have registered to cloud.redhat.com Insights. In my case, it's showing me all of Red Hat employees, VMs we have stood up all over the place. But again, I don't really want to see everybody. I want to see just me. Oh, that's CVE. So again, well, I can do that in another section here. going to back up a little bit. So I clicked on the CVE. So now I'm going to see which devices have that CVE vulnerability. And from here, filter it down. All right. So it shows me my two devices and the advisory for that CVE. Um, Another way to do this, like if I just wanted to see my devices, again, I can search through my inventory. I can click on my device. Again, it shows me all my information and all the CVEs that are associated with my VM. As you can see, there are a lot here. And before I want to resolve these and show you what that looks like, show you patching. And here's the same page I just showed you live. Here, again, in here has all the sections that I need. So in here, it'll show me all the bug fixes or security fixes that are available for my one RHEL 8 box. So I want to show you how to really fix all this. So for my RHEL 7 machine, I'm just going to run a yum update to try to gather everything uh, everything at once. Why I show you some other slides as well, right? So that's compliance or vulnerability and patching. The next section is going to be compliance. Now, I'm not going to go too much into detail with this. I will say that Kevin Myers, our TAM, did an excellent job of showing the next two sections here that is included in Insights. He did an hour-long presentation of compliance. The compliance is built on the open source implementation of SCAP. It's called OpenSCAP. So I'm not going to go into too much detail. I just want to let you know that Kevin's video is available on the DLT portal. Like I said, it's an hour long. He goes into lots of detail for these two sections and does a great job of explaining them. So I will suggest you to go there. Again, here's a report of the various compliance reports for a particular device or a particular environment. Again, this slide just explains a little bit of what OpenSCAP is. But if anybody's doing scans, you probably know what this is. And a policy is, again, another way to configure misalignment. And again, Kevin does a great job of presenting this in his previous video. Kevin was going to be here today, but other things cropped up on his schedule. So, but the last thing I wanted to show you was the business aspect of that. Again, this is the third pillar of Insights. A lot of customers might not know, how much they're using, right? That one group might stand up 10 VMs, another group might stand up 11 VMs, and nobody really has an idea of what everything is, right? So this is a nice, top level view of Subscription Watch. It used to be called Subscription Watch. However, it gives you that nice streamlined view of your environment. So my example, again, I'm going to show you. If I can go in here and click Business Insights, subscriptions. I'm going to show you everything within this Red Hat account that's set up. And as you can see, there's lots of devices that are registered to this account number. I can even narrow it down into x86 systems. I can click down here and see, the name, what type of thing. So if I go into mine, I would assume, yep, public cloud, and you'll see a tower instance that I had registered at one point as well, again, 17 days ago. But anyway, so this would show your entire environment, on your utilization to make sure you're not overutilizing, or if you just want to have insight into, how much you're actually using, especially in the ELA environment. Back to slides. Well, let's check to see before I continue. Yeah, that is actually the end. Let's see if that's completing now. That's a good sign. So Jeff, I'll pause for one more second while that completes. Any questions?
I think we're looking to be good to tie everything up here, John.
Okay, cool. Um, well, before I tie it up, let me show you one more thing. I told you the reports, right? So I believe I can go into, again, vulnerability and reports. There is not a way to filter my executive report now. Unfortunately, I believe that functionality is coming soon. It was sent to Red Hat as a not requirement, but a would like to have, right? So in here, it's going to run a report of all the vulnerabilities on my entire system. I click here, it's going to create a report, and then download it. I ran one earlier today. Take a look at it. So again, this is my total system. So it's telling me it ran it on 85 systems, and there are almost 900 CVEs and 18 security roles impacted. Again, this is a great report you can send to your security team. It doesn't look this bad, right? We don't want to see all these issues. But once you go ahead and patch everything, it's the way you like it. You can send this to them, nice and easy, and it's pretty nice to have. Sort of why I wanted to run that a little bit earlier, but it didn't fit into. What else can I show them here? I guess I can, like I said, show you the compliance section. Here's the various policies that others have set up on their devices or to demo. Like I said, here's a demo of CIS benchmark that I could run on one of my devices. I can also click on reports, and here's I don't know what this is, but I can click on it. Yeah. So this is where you would run reports on specific devices. Oh, good. So it finished, it looks like. So I'm going to reboot this guy. It shouldn't take too long to reboot, Jeff. While that reboots, I'll just mention our, like I said, these slides get sent out. There's lots of information in these slides, lots of links. Click on them. What I believe we PDF them. So you should be able to click on the links. If not, just copy and paste them. Here's a lot of the websites that has a lot of information. I believe one of the earlier slides, it linked the instruction manual on how to remove certain data. More websites. Like I said, I kind of overloaded you with a lot of information today. All that information is available on the web. Here's a great list of those. If some of these links don't work or for whatever reason, always feel free to let me know or Jeff. There are also videos, and like I said at the end of this conversation, this video is recorded and published as well. This won't be on the link. So before I say thank you for coming, let's see if my device is back. Run its client again. So again, I did a Yum update. Hopefully I grabbed a lot of those patches or CVEs that were available for that device. And now I'm gonna, since I just did a Yum update, I need to resend that data back to Red Hat to compile and give me a report of what my RHEL 7.8 device looks like. That is completed. Go into this inventory. Yep. So it shows my 7.8 device just sent some data. I know there's some lag time as it crunches the data, so I'm not sure how much is going to be here. So let's look at patch. No advisories, right? So my Yum update called all them. Any vulnerabilities in here? There should be some. Okay. Again, these are all security rules, something I'd have to go in and change on my own. But as you saw previously, there were a ton in there. And I can keep clicking into the CVE to get more information about it. So again, if any of your security teams ask for more information, all that information is easily available for you to collect and to send to them. So that being said, right on noon, I don't want to keep any of you from lunch, at least some of you running or on the East Coast here. I will say my meteorology background will say everybody in New Jersey, all my tech center friends, be careful today. There is possibility of some severe weather this afternoon. I actually started running this morning, Jeff. I got outside. Again, I'm a meteorologist. This shows you how bad I am. I'm a meteorologist. I get ready for my run. I stretch. I walk outside. I got a quarter of a mile down the road and looked around. I said, it looks like it's going to rain. I looked at my watch, and sure enough, there's a big blob of rain headed right towards me. So shows you what a bad meteorologist I am. However, everybody be safe out there today. And I look forward to doing the next webinar, which I will plug as long as Jeff has no other questions for me.
John, I think we did have one more come in here.
Okay.
I think Sridhar is having a little bit of technical issues with communication. Sridhar, if you can hear me right now, we'll make sure to send out this recording to everyone after this so you can catch the tail end of the presentation here as well. Outside of that, John, I think we're all set here in terms of questions and closing everything out here. Give everybody about 30 minutes back in their day.
Yep. All right. So, as always, thank you for coming out and watching this. I know it's a little bit difficult not being able to talk, but we hope this platform works. We like to do this for our FAA customers. We want to tailor it for you. We want to show you that we do understand your environment. We know that, insights is powerful, but difficult to implement, behind a firewall. I want to say from our organization that, we do let Red Hat know that, yes, this is good, but, some of our customers, are unable to do it. So they are aware that there are more customers out there that would utilize this if there was a type of system that could be used in an air-gapped environment. Jeff, I want to thank Jeff and Catherine Brady. They're part of the Red Hat account team. They work hard behind the scenes, sending you the invites, making sure everything's set up correctly for these webinars. Thank you both. They do a great job. Also want to thank the partners, CDW and DLT, for taking the time to help us set up. They host the site, and they allow us to upload the videos too. So again, thank you to those guys. Real quick, I want to plug the next webinar. I'm hoping the topic holds. We're still trying to work out the details. However, we're thinking at the end of August. I'm going to bring in some of my Red Hat friends to talk about zero trust, and some of the Red Hat products that we currently have that could help you along your Red Hat or your zero trust journey and making sure that your environment is in a zero trust setting. So Jeff, if you have nothing else, myself and the rest of the Red Hat account team, thank you for coming out. And again, I hope to talk to you in late August. Be on the lookout for that meeting invite. If it's not zero trust, we'll definitely have something for you at the end of August. With that, Jeff, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for everything, John. We appreciate you taking all the time today to present to us.
Yep. See you later.